Hello everybody, clipsvh here as always. These next few videos is just going to be me playing as Yunica in time attack mode, and time attack mode is basically you get to do boss fights and you get times and you can set your record times and everything, and it's pretty neat. I'm in boss rush mode, so it's going to be like all the bosses that Yunica fights. It's going to be a couple videos because I wanted to do this all as one video, but after all was said and done, it came out to being like 45 minutes, and I didn't want to have you sit through like another like 45-minute video after the last one. So these are all going to be like fairly short compared to all the others anyway. I don't think I'm going to talk over this much since most of the fights they're all like the same boss fights, most of them, so yeah, I feel like I've already kind of said my piece regarding that. I'm really just mostly doing this just to show off how Yunica plays and how her playstyle is kind of different from Hugo's. It's actually a lot different from Hugo's. It's a little harder to play as Yunica than Hugo. Because once you go from Yunica first to playing as Hugo after, it's kind of like the game gets a lot easier. So this boss is the same as the one that Hugo fights in the second tier. And it mostly does all the same stuff, but it's not as tough on Yunica because, well, it's literally the first boss she encounters in her story. So time attack mode is something you get when you beat the game once. So once you beat it as either Yunica or Hugo, you get time attack mode, and you get boss rush mode. And in boss rush mode, once you beat a boss, it goes directly to the next boss you fight afterwards. So this boss isn't all that much different at all either. It's just you have to get a lot closer to him because Yunica is mostly melee. As for what elements to use on certain bosses, for the most part it's the same. Like for this one, you still mostly just using wind element, mostly because that's the only one you have. And also you're going to use it to move around and get through those bubbles. Yunica also gets a little bit of a speed boost when she's on the ground and she uses that. Like it kind of boosts her in whatever direction you're pressing. And so it's kind of good if you want to get to that lower mouth quickly and stun him. And after that you have Epona, and she kind of fights the same way she does when you fight her as Hugo. Just a tiny bit harder, not really. It's not as easy to get to fight as Yunica, mostly because you do have to get up close to her, and you can't just stand back and shoot at everything like Hugo does. This boss is the same as when you fight him as Hugo. You want to use the Thunder Element. The Thunder Element's good against this guy. It's actually a lot easier to use Thunder Element as Yunica, because she just kind of swings her axe down like a hammer. It's kind of instant, whereas like with Hugo, you kind of have to wait a bit, because it is more of like his trap mines are kind of more like little bombs. But with Yunica, you just use it like that. Boss Rush mode also skips the mid-boss in the Guilty Fire, mostly because that's an unbeatable, unwinnable boss fight. It is possible to win, but it's not easy to do at all. Anyway, for Yunica, if it didn't skip it, we would have been fighting Kishkol, but there's no real reason for the game to have it there, since it kind of is an unbeatable boss fight. It's supposed to be unwinnable anyway. So most of what you're going to do for any of these boss fights, as you've seen, is like, it's mostly the same stuff, except what you're going to do and how you do it plays out just a tiny bit differently, because the different ways that Yunica plays from Hugo. Like, for this fight, you can't just shoot at him, you have to use your fire element, because then Yunica finally gets some range with her fire element. most of their attacks are all the same. Their patterns don't really change all that much unless you go and do different difficulties and such. So that's why I'm sticking to normal. It's just that little air of familiarity for you. Another thing about Unica's fire element when she uses her father's greatsword is it's a lot slower than her axe, but it deals more damage. For this, I want to say it doesn't matter so much since you're kind of unscrewing his hand, but at the same time it does kind of have a health bar, and so that kind of throws me off. And somehow I'm just getting hit by, like, anything and everything when I did this. The fire element's good for moments like that when, he's biting down and you can't really reach him. But if you get it from the wrong angle, it won't do anything to him, as you saw. Like I said, I'm going to be splitting these up because it is rather long. And when we get that final hit point on him, that'll be all we have for now. So I'll see you all next time.